Today's guest is a woman who is disrupting the ordinary to create the extraordinary. An e-commerce expert, she is turning on and turning up opportunities in today's multi-trillion-dollar online sales environment. So no matter what you're selling, you're going to want to know Ashley Armstrong, the e-commerce hidden rules expert, who has successfully ignited online brands and sales by 140% in 30 days with proven product strategies. A mother, entrepreneur, best-selling author, and sought-after e-commerce authority, Ashley helps solopreneurs and multi-million dollar companies find millions of dollars they're leaving on the table through e-commerce business consulting and her Women in E-commerce Mastermind. If you want to know how to navigate the ins and outs of e-commerce to scale your business to 8 figures, and who doesn't want that, Ashley Armstrong is your online master. Featured in Thrive Global, Fox News, NBC, ABC, CBS, Entrepreneur Medium, MSN, The List, Yahoo Finance, Business Insider, and more. Ashley Armstrong is the key to your e-commerce success. A big welcome to our special guest, Ashley Armstrong. And thank you so much for being here today, Ashley. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, talk about an intro. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm like, is that really me?
It is. It's all you. And I find it amazing when someone else reads back your bio. You're just really totally amazed at what you've done. So congratulations. Yeah. So excited to have you here. We had some technical difficulties this morning. I tell you, both Ashley and I are like, whoosh, we're finally on air. Let's get this thing done. So my first question, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I know technology frazzles me. So, but here's our expert. So I'm going to ask our very first question. What do we need to perfectly position ourselves when selling online?
Oh my gosh, that is definitely a loaded question, and it is in my wheelhouse of genius, so I absolutely love it. Thank you so much. When it comes to online positioning, really at the end of the day, there's of course a few contributing factors that need to be taken into consideration, but at the very core of it is we now know, especially through science and especially what happened with 2020 and the pandemic, over the course of 10 years, the online shopping has of course increased. That's kind of a given, we do know that. But with 2020 and everyone being stuck at home, the shopping patterns greatly changed. There are holes in the market that we were not able to access before, like some of those markets that could be like the elderly individuals who were not shopping online, they didn't trust their credit card, or they did not know how to navigate online. They are all now online. And what we know for a fact is that people, they're not buying products when they're buying online. You go into a store, you pick up a product, you're buying the product. But when it comes to online, you're actually buying the pictures of products. So in order to properly position yourself online, of course, you need to understand and get to the bottom line of your branding, your messaging, your positioning, your targeted audience. And that's one aspect. But the other aspect is telling the story through visual representation, because we know that the human mind can only handle so much. And we have 7 seconds of attention span to not only get someone's attention, educate them enough in order to make that educator buyer choice. That's 7 seconds, which is absolutely crazy. So how do we do that? Well, we know that the brain and the eye can actually interpret information within 13 milliseconds. And the brain can also interpret an image 60,000 times faster than text. So if you take all that into consideration and you put all the most important who, what, where, how, why, and when, features, benefits, and everything into a storyboard outline through your visual representation that is on your listings, you're going to have a much better chance of capturing that new customer and driving them to not only the buy box, but to get them to understand who you are. And therefore, they're able to tell their friends and their family what the product was. They can clearly articulate it, which they become automatic raving fans.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that is so much information packed into that one answer. I'm telling you, we could end the show right there, but I'm not going to. But oh my gosh, I totally agree with you. The visual representation is spot on. It is something that we have to hone in on, and certainly it would be the #1 strategy. So taking that a step further then, what would you say with positioning yourself on your website, if in fact we want to have that visual representation, are there any tips that you could suggest to those listening that might help them start to unravel that?
Yeah, it's a really great question. When it comes to e-commerce, we have, of course, our own personal websites. We also have a Facebook marketplace technically, and we have third-party platforms like eBay, Amazon, Etsy, so on and so forth. And every single platform does have a little bit of their own rules that we have to take into consideration. So I'm just going to kind of blanket statement here, but the overall, circumference of what you're looking at. First and foremost, when it comes to the visual representation, people need to understand the importance of this is not just for e-commerce sellers. It's also really important for anyone who's putting out any digital or content information. They know for a fact that people are going to skim 80% of a listing or a blog or a page of the written information, but they will look at every single image. So everything that I'm telling you now is perfect for not just product sellers, digital product sellers, but people who do blogs and everything else along those lines as well, where you want to put as much of the information from the blogs into the images as well to make sure that they are seeing the most important points that you want them to see, because we know they're not actually going to read the text. But when you are looking into how you can really capitalize on your website or third-party marketplaces, you want to do a competitive analysis research. You really want to see what your competitors are doing, the pros and the cons. You get out a spreadsheet and start taking down the URLs and write down the good things you're finding, the bad things you're finding. The next thing you're going to want to be able to do is you want to get into the head of the consumer. And there's no better place than looking on third-party platforms that show the review. So Amazon is a perfect place. So if you have a similar product to what it is that you're selling, you want to find your competitors on that third-party platform, because there's usually a whack load of reviews. And inside those reviews, you want to look at the good ones, and you want to see what verbiage the consumer is using to describe the product, the end result, how easy it was for them to understand how to use the product, so on and so forth. Then you want to go to the bad reviews, and you want to see what they're confused about, the questions that they're not getting answered. And you want to take those good and bad, and you want to pull out the bad of your competitor and leverage that as what differentiates you from the consumer or the competitor itself. And then the good ones, of course, you want to use the exact same verbiage that your consumers are using to talk about your product, how they're using your product, use the exact same words within all of your listing and in your images. Then you're speaking directly to the consumer, because a lot of times as business owners or product developers, we get too nitty gritty. We know too much. We get too technical, and we assume that everyone knows what it is that we're selling or doing, or they know what they're buying. They don't need to have any more education. But really, at the end of the day, they need to be educated again and again and again. So if you really can just do a quick little competitive analysis of the good and the bad and the ugly, and making sure you're highlighting all the good points that you have, and making sure that you're saying, I am not like these guys, you're really going to set yourself up for success.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Yes. Just do some homework. Go to Google and Amazon provides so much information for us. So would you say that too, not just images, but video, and just tagging on to that, we have a number of coaches that are tuning in. And what would you suggest for them, seeing that is something that is much more, it's not tactile like a product, but it is a service. And I don't know, there are books on Amazon written by coaches, but I'm not sure. Personally, I would look at very successful coaches' websites. That would just be one of my takeaways. But do you have any other insights, and maybe just a little tidbit about how we market an intangible?
Yeah, even if you are a coach, you still have to show up appropriately with your visual representation, even as a service that you're providing. Because again, people don't read. We know this. It's a proven fact that people don't read. So if you are a service provider and say you help women lose weight or something along those lines, you would want to show before and after. You want to show an entire process of what someone's going to experience when they're working with you. So I would love everyone to kind of just envision this. Do you remember those old sort of TV shows like the QVC and the Home Shopping Network and the Be Seen on TV type of quick little reels when they're talking about a product? They always go with, oh, pain, or I'm overweight, or I'm not doing so good. They're always showing the pain point of the consumer. And then they're going to go into the product, the features, the benefits, and then it's going to be the end result. So if you want to understand whether you're selling a product or you are selling a service, it's really the same thing. You really want to make sure that you're tracking the entire course of what the consumer is going to experience with you from the beginning to the end. And so, as you said, you definitely want to take a look at, other coaches' platforms. What are they doing good? What are their reviews are? Look at all their social profiles, absolutely. And you want to make it as clear and concise as possible. And I highly recommend you look at the story brand version of setting up your website, especially for people who are service-based. So anyone who's doing coaching, because it's very structured, it's very outlined, it's very minimalistic. So you're really nailing what the person needs to know as fast as possible on your main home landing page. So that would be the best place to look at, is looking at the QVC type of style, so you can kind of get that beginning, middle, and end, and how you can kind of incorporate that into your product or your service base. And then I'd take a look at story brand outline and how they structure their websites, because it really is amazing how we see so many sales pages and landing pages and websites, and it's text, 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 and lots and lots and lots and lots of text, but no one really reads it. But if we can get it clear, concise, and really hit, your main statement, your value proposition, your 3 points that you're working on, and then the function and the flow the customer is going to experience with you, and then you just drive them right into book a strategy call with me now, or join my program right now.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that is so powerful. I mean, listen up, everyone, because really, I do go to many websites, and I have to admit there is way too much text. And in fact, you inspired me, because we had a call earlier, and I certainly understand the power of visual. And I went back to my homepage and actually took out most of the text. And not only does it flow better, but it just feels clean. It just feels open.
Yeah.
I use pictures. And I want to say to those entrepreneurs out there, if you don't have enough of your own photos, you can get free stock photos that beautifully represent the message that you're trying to put through. And then just put a little bit of verbiage there of the message and the story. And stories, we all resonate with stories. So so much valuable information here, Ashley. It's just incredible. And this really is going to be the market to be in the future. I mean, if it's not now, I mean, it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and it's just going to keep growing. And it's something that I specialize in, which is a creative intelligence coach. And we certainly want to expand your creativity and get you into that mode of thinking visually. So one of the key things that you did speak to me about, and this is more on a mindset level, which is really important, especially when we're entrepreneurs and working for ourselves. You have something what you call a failure muscle, which you have coined. Maybe share some of that with us.
Yeah, one thing that I love to ask everyone whenever we start working together, or they're in part of my mastermind communities or whatnot, is how often are you flexing your failure muscle? And usually when I ask that question, I usually get a little bit of a blank stare, like, what do you mean by that? Like, everyone kind of understands the word failure, but really, if you think about it, when we think back to our education system and how we're brought up, failure is not acceptable. We're not allowed to get B's in some families. We're definitely not allowed to get C's or D's or F's or whatnot. You can't fail your first driver's test. You're not allowed to, fail at anything really in life. You can't fail at your marriage. You can't fail at this. But really, at the end of the day, failure is just a lesson learned, really. And so what I like to do is I would like to flip the switch on how that word is being used, because it's used in more of a negative connotation. So if we look at it as like a muscle, we go to the gym and we're working at a muscle, it's going to get stronger. We're, walking, if we're talking, if we're singing, you're getting our voice, it's a muscle that we're getting stronger. So it just works better for us. So with the failure muscle, it's just, let's reposition it. It's not a failure. It's a lesson learned. What's the silver lining? What can you take away from that? And just really lean into the fact that the more that you use it, the stronger it gets, the easier it is for you to get back up and going again. So any pitfalls or anything that we have, we very quickly start realizing, okay, this happened. Why did this happen? Let's reverse engineer it. What steps did I take? Was the outcome what I wanted? And if it wasn't what I wanted, what were those steps? And how can I make a different choice to try this again? And then once you go through that process again and again and again, every time a molehill kind of comes up or a problem that you need to solve, you quickly go into those actionable step modes where you're detecting and correcting yourself in order to be able to get back up and do it again. And then just the more times that you fail, it's just like, well, this is not technically a failure. This is a lesson learned on what the next step's going to be to help you move forward.
Yes, absolutely. That's such great advice because often we see failure as a negative, but we need
Yeah.
to start to see it as, like you said, a lesson learned, or, okay, that didn't work, but that just taught me that there needs to be another way to do it. We all go through it. I mean, everything, especially today, we're learning at such a rapid rate. We've had to pivot so quickly from live events to doing these live streams, and everyone's had to get comfortable with things on the internet and technology and connecting with all these different platforms and what works best for you. And we're still experimenting. I mean, I see people that
Yeah.
have specialized in live events for their entire career. That's their companies. And COVID hit and they're like, whoa, so that's not working today. But in doing that, what's happened is we've been able to make a broader reach,
Yeah.
just in this type of forum. It's so exciting. And you're right. I have another individual who says failure is fertilizer. So I just keep that in the top of my mind. And I think, yes, I'm planting the seeds and I'm putting that fertilizer right on top of them to grow a little bigger. Always that.
That's
So
the
now
best. I love that.
yeah, isn't that the best? Failure is
Yep.
fertilizer. It just puts it in a really succinct and visual, if you want to put it that way, a
Yes.
visual opportunity. I wanted you to share just briefly because you shared this with me on the phone, about the visual, because I really resonated with the story that you told me about Burt's Bees, and
Oh,
just swinging
yeah.
full circle back to that, because that was a story, and yet you showed me that the example of how they are using visualization to market a product, and they didn't need a word of text or voiceover. So maybe just share that so people can get an idea of how that works.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. And it is a lot of fun. So anyone who's watching this, I highly recommend you play along with us here. As I said before, the visual representation is super important. But a lot of the times, a lot of people are like, what do you mean actually? How do I figure this out? How do I change the text into a visual? And I'm like, well, number one, that's what you bring me in for, and I help you figure that out. But for yourself, if I'm not there, the easiest way to figure it out is first and foremost, let's play a little fun. Go over to Google, type in Burt's Bees, go into the image tab that's in the very bottom there underneath your search bar. And what you're going to see is all their marketing well, not all of them, but a good large chunk of their marketing campaigns and a lot of the visual graphics that they use for their company. And so what you're going to notice between, of course, they have, their text for the fonts, they have the typical colors for the company. So their branding and everything is in place. So that's kind of one thing you want to look at. They're very consistent across all of it. Very, very important. But what they use is they use visual representation and placement of words. So if they were going to be selling a lip balm, instead of telling you it's a specific flavor or smell or whatever, they'll have, as an example, a cup of hot chocolate pouring into the lip balm, and they have these little leaves of mint that are floating around everywhere. And you very quickly know that that's a chocolate mint flavored lip balm. And they do the same thing where they have like cracked open half coconuts that moved into like a parachute that's like has like a little strawberry hanging down from it. It's a coconut strawberry flavored item. So really at the end of the day, you're like, how can I incorporate that into what it is that I'm doing? And so specifically for your platform, you help creative individuals. Well, what's a visual representation for creativity? A lot of times you can go to, as you say, that there's platforms where you can get free stock images or paid stock images, and you can just type in the word creative. And sometimes you're going to see like the brain where half of it is splitting down. You have colors on this side, and you have colors on that side, or you have wheels that are kind of turning in there, or you can have like paintbrushes, or whatever visual representation is for creative. You can use that. Or if you have a product that's for a dog, instead of saying it's for a dog, you'd have a paw print, or you'd have an actual dog. Or if you have something that's used for your home, instead of saying it's used for a home, have a picture of a home and have a picture of an office and have a picture of wherever it might be. So that, again, we know that the human eye and brain can interpret a visual 60,000 times faster than a text. So try to replace as much text as you possibly can with visuals. And then you can, of course, put a little bit of text and bullet points on top of those visuals to really get it clear. But just try to see how you can swap it out. It's a fun game, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And here it is. This is inspiration. Inspiration at your fingertips. I mean, this is what I do all the time. I go and I use technology to help me get inspired. Now, like Ashley just said, pull up a QVC or pull up Burt's Bees, anything of that nature. And then when you're looking for videos or pictures, pull some up, put images of, if you just plug in on Google, images of, say, a fun, images of dogs, images of weight loss, you'll just come up with a whole raft of photographs. And these could be used as inspiration. And then you can get some free stock video and pictures just by Googling free stock video or free stock images. These tools are here for us to serve us and use them, but use them for inspiration as well. I just love that. The light bulb goes on every time I look at something. Frankly, I either get inspired or I get uninspired by saying, okay, that's what I don't want to do. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but yeah, you see, okay,
all the time.
That's where I don't want to go. But now that you've got this kind of idea that visual is where we need to go, is where we need to be on this virtual platform, get some inspiration and it's right there at your fingertips, and have some fun. I love it. I'm like Ashley, I go on there and I'm like, but you got to be careful you don't get carried away. So you can spend the whole day just looking at pretty pictures.
You can get sucked down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly.
You really get sucked down that rabbit hole, that's for sure. But if you put a little time, time blockage on yourself in your research mode, you'd be good to go for the most part. But at the end of the day, the other thing I would love to make sure that I really make sure I put a little bit of the spotlight and a highlight on.
Sure.
Because we are creators, because we are the experts, again, as I said beforehand, we are too knowledgeable. And a lot of times, especially when I'm speaking with product-based business owners, when they develop a product from scratch, it's their baby. Whether it's an online program or course or a physical product, it's your baby. It's you know what I mean? So what ends up happening is sometimes you can't see outside your vision, tunnel for the most part, right? So, you really want to try to do your best to detach yourself from it, because if you're too much in love with what it is that you're doing, then you're unable to see the flaws, or you're unable to take, very nice criticism that very well could help you move forward, in that particular case. So you have to really detach yourself. And you can ask your friends and family, of course, what they think about your new website or your product listing page, or how you're describing your new coaching program or whatever it might be, but they're not really your targeted audience. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. So there's too many times where I speak with people and they're like, I absolutely love it, but they're not really willing to listen to like the strategic information that is given to them by a professional who's been doing it for 10 years. They just like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do my own thing. And that's perfectly fine. By all means, you are the person who's running it and owning it. So if you know, you know. But I also want to say, just be careful that you're not too in love with it, that you're unable to see what other people who are an expert in your field are providing you. Because, sometimes you can save yourself tens of thousands of dollars by listening to some advice that's given to you. But if you can detach yourself from it, ask for other people's opinions. And if you can get other people's opinions that are your ideal consumers, that's even better. So you can do that very easily by, one, if you have a community, a Facebook group or audience, or you have followers, ask them what they think. Ask them what they like, what they don't like, right? Because again, we're not the ones who are buying our products. It's those people who are buying our products. So they have to connect with it. They have to understand it in order for them to buy from it, because a confused mind never buys. So you want to keep it simplistic as possible. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have an audience, then you can pay for an audience. You can go to Usability Hub. There's lots of platforms that are just like that, where you pay for critique, basically. So you can put in a website, you can put in a picture, you can put in a sales copy, you can put in literally anything. And you can even pay a little extra to get down into your targeted market. So male, 15 to 20, or whatever it might be, they can break it down. And so the users on the back end of these sites, they have to go through whatever it is that you want an opinion on, and they have to physically write out feedback, what they liked, what they didn't like, what made sense, what did not make sense. So again, if you don't have an audience to get that feedback, then you can pay for it. And I highly recommend every time you go to launch something, try to get as much feedback from as close to your ideal consumer as best as possible, because then you're going to come out of the gate completely winning, rather than having to split test a lot more and not really sure where that cash flow is coming in. So definitely set yourself up for success by getting other people's opinions.
I love that. I would like to put that in the lower third. What was that? Usability Hub? Is that?
Yeah, Usability Hub.
Usabilityhub.com. Let's put
Yeah.
that in the lower third, and excuse me, everybody just make a note of that if you don't have a group or you don't have people. What I also like to do, Ashley, is do a survey. You can actually do a really simple
Mm.
poll on Facebook. It's all built for you there. All I have to do is hit the poll
Yep.
listing, and you could do 3 or 4, 5, 6, doesn't matter, and have people check off their top or their bottom, and bingo, you've got a survey already done, which is, again, getting your audience to see what it is that's resonating with them or what isn't resonating with them. So fabulous tip. I love that. And yes, absolutely. I agree, Ashley, be open. And
Yeah.
I think that there's a mindset thing there, because some people might see it as criticism, but it's not really. It's like you said, if you're completely married to your product or your service, you need to have other people be surveyed and other people to at least give you feedback to see where it is
Yeah.
that you're excelling, because we definitely want to celebrate our wins, and where you can, just maybe open it up and do a little bit more. But it leads us right into our next conversation, which is perfect. I know that you're building out an e-commerce for a mastermind for women. So I'm really excited about this, because I'm all about the female entrepreneur, and maybe share some of that information with our audience.
Yeah, I really love that you brought that up. And at the end of the day, because I have been doing what I've been doing for the last decade, all of my mentors, everyone I've ever worked with, have all been male, which is nothing wrong with that. I love my male mentors because they really push me extremely hard. But I'm a ex-pro athlete, so I'm used to needing to get that kind of like that kick in the pants, I guess you could say.
Right.
And so what I have found over the last decade of, doing training courses and programs and joint venture partnering with lots of other experts within our space, I end up attracting a lot of women. And then, afterwards, I'm always following up. What did you think? What can I do better? And they're always like, we would love to just have a community where it's safe. I can be vulnerable, because most industries are very male dominated. We can definitely say that, but the e-commerce industry is exceptionally male dominated, and they just want to be able to be heard and seen from someone who understands what it is that they're going through and for. And a lot of the times I end up getting the feedback of like, I see myself in you. You're a mom and you have kids and you have older parents and you have a really sick dog and you're running around to all these doctor's appointments and you're still running a business and it's multiple businesses. And I need to hear from someone who understands. Right? But we need to have that safe space. And really, at the end of the day, like many businesses, it's shiny object pushing like nobody's business. And I swear to gosh, you can't move forward if you're constantly switching, gears, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, the whole concept of you focus on 1 or 2 things, 3 things, max, you're going to get miles worth of progress. But if you're focusing on 6 to 10 things, you're going to get millimeters worth of progress. And so with our mastermind community, not only do we provide a safe space, you get expert help, but I have over 25 guest experts from all different areas in business that I bring in twice a month. So it's basically like a revolving summit all the time based on what the members want. So our last week, we just had a question of like, how do I properly price my products? So we brought in a marketing strategist who broke down the different types of pricing strategies that you need to take into consideration, the percentages and so on and so forth. And so really at the end of the day, all we were talking about is each individual business, where they are at right now, and what question do they have right now, so we can give them clarity so they can move forward. It's not about try this strategy, try this software tool, try this one, because it's just like, you haven't even had a chance to like even test the first bloody thing out that you're trying to implement. So really at the end of the day, it's for the women. They are the ones who are creating what they want to learn. They tell me. I have celebrity guest experts as well who are coming in to answer their questions. And it's really just one of those small incubator communities that's for the women, about the women, supporting the women. And we bring in women guest experts, a few men as well, but mostly women experts, and to really just make sure that we're creating a community, because women in entrepreneurial space is the largest growing sector right now. And so not everyone needs to have a women-focused mastermind. I completely am aware of that. But I tell you, when you get to be around some other, badass women who are like, taking action every day, they're moving forward with their business, and everyone is helping everyone else out, because we all have expertise to bring to the table. We all have different business models. We have drop shippers. We have products that are made by hand. We have Etsy sellers, Amazon sellers. We have product manufacturers. We literally have someone from every single sector of the e-commerce space, and they're literally doing this. What do you think about this? Or try this one out, or what about this software tool, or take a look at this as an example. And it's amazing because the community lifts itself up and the women help each other out. And it's just one of those things that just resonates with a lot of people. And I'm just really excited to, kind of be the the center spoke. And I'm just putting all these other really amazing people into that. So it's a nice circumference wheel where we can just support each other all the way around.
Oh my God, it sounds amazing. I'm going to jump in immediately. Not only is it support, but therein lies your survey, your audience. Therein lies your possible customers. You can help each other. Yep. I mean, because everyone is coming from a different area of expertise or of product, and someone might bring up a question that you wouldn't even have thought of, but it's like, yeah, I need to know that. Like the pricing. Oh my gosh, it sounds magnificent. So how often do you get together? I'm curious. And I know we're going to have this link in her bio. So anyone and everybody, once a week, that will keep you energized. And I have to tell you, being around people that lift you up is going to help you step into your greatness, because there is nothing like magnetizing energy. And that's what happens in these groups. It's great, isn't it? I mean, you feel the energy from others, and those that are people are stepping out of their comfort zone. I love it. Oh my gosh, it sounds so exciting. We're going to have that link. Yeah, it sounds like it. And I love that you're bringing in people from all different industries. I mean, that is something that, we can all learn from each other. I mean, there's something 100%. For everybody in that. Yeah, so fantastic. So with that being said, a question for you. I know you have 2 daughters, and would you recommend them becoming entrepreneurs when they get a little older?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell no, I want them to start now. They're 10 and 12. Yeah, they've been helping me out, pretty much their whole life as, sort of being little entrepreneurs. They will go and take everything out of our cupboards and set up a little store in our living room and invite us over to their store. And they'll make like little video ads with each other on their iPads or cell phones, and they'll email them or send them to us in Messenger. And like, the store is open. We have drinks and cakes and 25 cents. And then to come out of the bedroom and go shopping at their store. So I absolutely love it. But really at the end of the day, my particular background when it comes to the education system, if you're going to school for something super particular that needs to have a degree or a piece of paper in order for you to be able to even do it, 100% go to school, go to the university, whatever it might be. But if you're going for some generalized, whatever it might be, marketing or whatever, why even bother going to school? Because you're technically, at the end of the day, you're going to be working with someone who, 1's taking your money, 2, teaching you something out of a book that's not exactly what's happening right now in 2021. And then at the end of it, you have a big, huge bill that you got to pay off by finding a job to implement what it is that you learned at school. Where I'd much rather my children, and we have these conversations all the time, if you love graphic design, which my oldest one does, she knows she wants to be a graphic designer. She knows she wants to go into that space. She's uber creative, like you wouldn't believe. I'd much rather her go find a mentor that's in the graphic design space that can literally help her build a business as she's learning about that industry. So by the time she invests that, 30 grand or 50 grand or whatever it might be, now I am talking high level, but obviously there's smaller programs that you can do that can help you get a leg up. But by the time you're done with it, you have a fully operating business that is going to be able to provide you income rather than a big debt, a big bill that you need to have. So I'm constantly trying to get them to obviously get into it. I have like 8 books out, and bestsellers, and 6 of them are actually about my children, for my children, in case I died early one day, because I wanted to leave them, something, just in case, how to be an entrepreneur, how to deal with bullies, how to create a vision board, and all these fun things. So they were part of that process. And now I'm trying to be like, okay, let's publish a book. You love art. Let's do a coloring book. It's super simple, super easy. Let's get you out there. Let's get the ball started. And so part of them is like, I don't really want to be like what mom does because they see me always working behind my computer. But the other part of them is like, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to go into work, or do I want to work in the stock market like dad and do day trading and do drawing and then work online like mom? So they're starting to understand now that they're getting into like, you're going to be 16 soon. You're going to have to go for a job soon, which of course they're going to have to definitely get their entry level jobs. That's a total must in my personal opinion. Customer service, super important. Following structures and procedures, super important. but they're now starting to be like, okay, I'm starting to understand this. I want to have control of my life. I want to be able to make those decisions. So I'm still in the battle of trying to get them to be okay with being an entrepreneur. But either way, I really couldn't care. As long as they're healthy and they're happy and they're enjoying life, whatever they choose to do, I'm 100% going to support them. But I still want them to learn how to be able to make their own money on the side, because 2020 taught us anything. None of your job security is what you thought it was going to be, no matter how high level or low level. It doesn't matter where you are. I think everyone realized that their jobs aren't as secure as they thought they were. So, one of those side hustles is always good to have. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And the world is changing so fast. I mean, these are just things that have sped things up, but you're absolutely right. There's so much information now on the internet.
Free information.
Free. And you can take knowledge courses. Here's the thing, because information is at our fingertips nowadays, the information that in the old days when you would go to school and university and learn, well, that was knowledge that you absorbed through being in class and getting a degree. But nowadays you Google it and everybody has access to the same information. So what is now the most critical aspect that corporations are looking for, even if you're an entrepreneur or you're going for a corporate job, is critical thinking. And what's the key to critical thinking is creativity. And that's something that, there's a discussion always about how do you teach creativity. It's not really a how, it's creating a space and an environment, but that gets into a whole nother discussion. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the world is changing and people are learning that we can be as successful and prosperous online and have that knowledge and then just go for it. And of course, your mom and you're showing by example. I mean, when they see you and they see dad, I mean, in a way, he's kind of his own boss too. So,
100%.
That leads 100%. So that leads me actually into my next question, which is, what has been the most rewarding aspect of being your own boss, and what tidbit of information would you give a woman who is looking to make the leap?
Okay. Well, this isn't, it's going to be a little odd when I say most rewarding, but I'm Canadian and I was living in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico for almost 14 years. So I'm an expat in a country where I did not know the language when I got there. And my Spanish still totally blows in a lot of cases. But now I'm back in Canada. And what ended up happening to us, oh my gosh, I think it was about 6 years ago now, we ended up having a level 5 hurricane come through, which was worse than Katrina, but it wasn't really super publicized because, it's Mexico, it's Cabo San Lucas. And it was the scariest bloody thing I've ever been through. I still get post-traumatic stress if I see or hear of a hurricane coming in, or when 2020 happened and everyone was like buying everything off the shelves, like it put me right back into that. We had guns going off, we had people walking around with machetes, we had fires being built up in the streets. It was just crazy. So we got evacuated out, luckily, but we're technically refugees sleeping on people's floors that we could sleep on, and we didn't even know if we can go home. We couldn't access our money because in Mexico, your money's in a bank. You can't access it unless you walk in and talk to a teller. And I just came back from a 3-month vacation as well. So we were like waiting to get back to work to remake our money that we basically just spent for the most part. So it was one of those just really weird occasions. But what ended up saving us is the fact that I had an internet business. I was consulting and I had my, I created a 7-figure physical product business as well. So I had, staff in China, and I was, making and selling products online and whatnot. And that was the most rewarding aspect. We couldn't access our cash. We literally didn't have a home. We didn't know if we had anything to go back to. Everything was blackout. It was just crazy. And we were sleeping on people's floors of family members and friends, wherever they would take us for months. Still unknowing if we can go home, still not able to talk to anyone down there because all the power lines were out, the phone towers were out, and it's a third world country. So you can just imagine how much longer it takes for them to kind of get things up and going. But we were able to save our bacon because I had an online business.
Wow.
Hindsight's 2020. You're like, why is it really that important? It's like, well, when 2020 is a perfect example as well. When it hits the fan, it's just when the shit hit for the most part. I'm glad that you said it, not me. But so that was one of the most rewarding things.
Wow, that's really a lesson learned in life. That is, yeah, so important to know. And of course, here we are, in 2021, and just look at things have changed so much. But I am so glad that you were in the internet space and you were able to save your bacon, as you say, because you're absolutely right. And like you said, this field that you're in, e-commerce, oh my gosh, it's huge. And I'm telling everyone here, they have to go and check out Ashley's page. They have to go and at least take a peek at what's available. And that leads me to, actually, Ashley has some incredible offers. She's got 3 offers, and you'll be able to find those in her bio on the Summit directory. But she's going to tell us a little bit about those right now.
Yeah, so the first one is, I used to be a consultant for multi-million-dollar businesses, and now I've really stepped back where I'm able to help entry-level and mid-sized companies as a business advisor. So basically like a person who's on your board of directors for the most part. And so I have a strategy session that is available to you guys with a 20% off, which is awesome. It's action-packed. You have to have a pen and paper. We record it because it's a lot of information, all jam-packed into answering the questions to where you are at right now for your e-commerce business. So that's offer number 1 to help you guys get going and get that expert support and help that you're looking for. And the other one that we have is we have the Women in E-commerce Mastermind community, which is still at its entry level. So it's the early adopters pricing right now, which I'm really, again, super excited. We have 25 guest experts, celebrity guest experts that come in every single month. We do 4 calls a month, once a week, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And you get to have hot seats with me. We have our support community where you can ask questions and get some help. And then, as I said before, we have guest experts to answer some questions that you have as well. And then outside of that, I also have, this is for e-commerce people, but really, even if you're not in e-commerce, it could help you. We have 4 drag and drop product infographic templates that are ready to go that you can download right now. Super simplistic. They use Canva, which of course they are on the free account. So you can easily get an account with Canva if you don't have one right now in their free version. And all you do is literally take your existing product images and or stock images that you have, and you just literally drag and drop them into the templates, and then you add a little bit of bullet points. And then therefore you've put yourself in a position where you're educating the shopper about who you are, what you do, what you're selling, the problems that you're serving, in order for you to get them to add your product to their shopping cart and buy. So there you go. Lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, so generous as well. I mean, everyone just go to the Summit directory page and you'll find all of Ashley's information and those links, and be sure to connect with her on social media. She's everywhere, being an e-commerce queen, as I call her. And I just want to say thank you so much, Ashley. Oh my God, this has been such a information-packed session. My head is reeling, and I can't wait to go and check out all of your links and your page. And I'm definitely going to step into that mastermind. It sounds exciting and something that I think all women could use. And again, I want to say thank you, coming to us from Vancouver, Canada. Here it's beautiful sunny day apparently today. I asked her at the top of the call, and she said it's been beautiful all week. So
it's gorgeous.
I hope you get a chance to get out there and at least take a little bit of rays, because I know how cloudy and rainy it can get. But it is a beautiful town. Yes. I've been there several times, being originally from Canada. And thank you once again, Ashley. So excited for what you're doing. And I know one thing I did want to bring up before we go is just tell our audience there's exciting news happening in your world. And I just want you, I know it's in the works, but I just want people to get an idea of how this, the excitement of being an entrepreneur, and how you can just keep expanding and exploring new ideas and new ways to, share your knowledge and your inspiration with the world. So just tell our audience what's happening in your world.
Yeah, well, one thing that I didn't actually get to answer was, if I could sort of inspire someone to sort of take action. And I really want to make sure women understand. I've been doing this for a decade, but when I started, I was in a third world country where I could not get a job. I had to create my own job for the most part. And at that time, I was technically too afraid to leave my house because of cartel and, all these other things that are happening around. That's a whole nother story for another day. But from someone who was too afraid to leave her house, who was able to build a 7-figure business from her bed. And now I'm, a regular guest expert on a national Emmy-Award winning TV show. That's the list that you can see on all major networks. And I'm in the process of developing my own TV show. for our e-commerce space. And I'm working directly with some really amazing PR and publicity firms that specifically work with e-commerce sellers to get them put into TVs, into magazines, and everything else underneath the sun. So it's really, really amazing how we're bringing all these different worlds together that were very much separated before. And now we're bringing it to make it so much easier for product-based sellers or companies to get more exposure, get product placement, but also being able to be on, a recognized TV channel that's going to be a web series, and then we're going to be moving it over into an actual network that you can see like on ABC or Fox. We haven't figured out which channel we're going to do yet, but that's in the works. And it's all about bringing the community as much support and as much help and as much exposure as possible, but also providing them, the expertise that myself and my business partner have had for, over about 25 years between the two of us of helping brand companies, get themselves up and going. And I'm super excited. Like, we can't really talk about too much until it's in the Writers Guild for protection. Right. So it's pretty much all I can say right now, but I'm like, I had no idea I was going to be making a TV show or even be a, regular guest expert on a national Emmy TV show. So you just got to start, ladies. You just got to start with one small thing, and then, time bypasses you anyway. So you might as well take some actual steps of something that inspires you, something that excites you. And, you never know what's going to happen. You just keep taking the steps.
You never know. I know, absolutely.
Know.
Take the action, get inspired. Possibilities are everywhere. I mean, just look at Ashley.
Yep.
That was a fabulous story. I'm so glad you shared that, because it just goes to show you that, especially now with technology, you can do anything. You can do anything. And if you're afraid to be on camera, if you're afraid to, technology bothers you, find someone to help you. And, Ashley can help you find your voice. I can help you find your voice. I mean, once you step into that world, you overcome that, and overcoming that then gives you the confidence to keep doing it, right? I mean,
hell yeah, absolutely.
Born. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not this person now, like a year ago. Like, I would be found on the floor in the fetal position crying because I had to go and do like Facebook Lives, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is really scary. Or I have to go and do like a national TV show from my bathroom because I had construction going everywhere, and I had to set up this whole thing. And my producer's like, what the hell are you doing in your bathroom? I'm like, well, do you want construction sounds or do you want to have an echo? You choose. But, I'm freaking out. You go through panic attacks and anxiety. Like, it's all part of it. It's part of the journey. Enjoy it. Enjoy the day, every moment, everything that you can get. And, like flexing your failure muscle, you'll get over it. You'll get through it. Just lean into it and default to action. Default to action is the only thing you need to do. And you're good to go.
Oh my God. There you go, ladies. There's no excuse. Let's get out there and do it. We're changing the world. That's why this is the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. If you need help, reach out, because we're all here to support and help you grow. 100%.
Yep.
And,
100%.
Possibilities are everywhere today. I mean, let's just do it. Once again, thank you so much, Ashley. Oh my gosh, I know you and I could probably go on for hours. We have so much in common.
Yep. Forever.
But forever. But listen, I appreciate your time, because I know you're super busy and have so much on your plate, but this is the kind of thing that we do. We share with each other so that we can lift each other up. Mm-hmm. So be sure to check out those pages, and be sure to follow me as well on Instagram. And if also you're looking to step into your epic career and success, go to janeapplegath.com. We have all kinds of great things brewing and courses, etc. And be sure to tune in for more experts coming your way. And this is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success. Have a great day, everyone. Congratulations for signing up for the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. We're bringing you some of the most exciting female entrepreneurs from around the globe to share with you their knowledge, their ideas, their inspiration, and more importantly, their resources to elevate you to prosperity and freedom. And by being here, you're on the cusp of something great, your epic future. I'm Jain Applegath, founder of the Epic Vision Zone and producer of the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. Be sure to get your VIP pass and join me after the summit on June 16th for a very special VIP coaching session where we'll have hot seating, summit Q&A, and a special guest appearance by one of our speakers just for you, where we'll ignite your vision, up-level your confidence, and set you on the path to your dreams' epic success. This is your opportunity calling. It's time to take action. Get your VIP pass now. I can't wait to see you on the other side.